Hey there, friend. Okay, so look, I did a video, just finished up, actually a series called Avoiding Self-Sabotage. And one of the episodes in that series was about perfectionism, okay, about being a perfectionist and coming out of perfectionism. And one of the things that came out of that was a chapter in my book, Avoiding the Self-Sabotage Trap. And it was about perfectionist versus excellence, or shall I say perfectionism versus excellence. And so somebody in the comments said, I wish you would do a video on the difference between the two because I would love to know. So I'm going to be doing a video on perfectionism versus excellence. Let's get into it. Okay, so here's the deal. Again, I just finished a series called Avoiding Self-Sabotage. You can check it out. It'll probably pop up somewhere here on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. Otherwise, you all that are listening on your favorite podcast platform, make sure you go over there and you can watch any of the episodes in that series or listen to any of the episodes in that series. Okay, so first, before I get started, if you haven't already, make sure you follow on your favorite podcast platform and make sure you subscribe on YouTube, like it, and please share it. And anytime when you're watching any of my videos, I love comments. So make sure you leave a comment. I want to know what you think. I want to know your experiences on the topic. And do that for me. And if you haven't already, you got to grab my book, Avoiding the Self-Sabotage Trap. You can get it at www.avoidselfsabotage.com. It will literally change your life if you're suffering from any type of self-sabotage, from self-doubt to fear of failure, fear of success, imposter syndrome, on and on and on. It talks about 10 different types or traits of self-sabotage that we all deal with, and it gives you how to fix them and overcome them. So without further ado, let's get started on perfectionism versus excellence. So I thought I would come to you with some definitions. Let's do that. Okay. So first we're going to start with, for all you perfectionists. Okay. Before I start with the definitions, let's just say this. I am a recovering perfectionist. Okay. So I don't want you to ever think that I am pointing the finger at you, because, honey, usually it's something that I had to overcome myself before I can bring it to the people. Okay, so I have overcome perfectionism, and I am a former perfectionist. Okay, this does not mean that we do, this does not mean that we just haphazard do things, but it just means that we, still do things in excellence without all the stress of trying to be perfect. So now I'm going to get into the definitions of the two, like how do they differ? So first, let's talk about perfection. What is the definition of perfection? The definition of perfection is the condition or state or quality of being free or as free as possible from all flaws or defects. Okay, now you hear me say quite often that we are flawed individuals. I mean, that's just a part of our human nature. Nothing in life is perfect. Nothing about you, nothing about me, nothing about them is perfect, okay? There's no way, no matter how good we do things, how much expertise we get, how much knowledge we get behind a subject, a topic, or a way of life, we will never be perfect, okay? So I want you to remember that when we are moving forward. Another definition of perfection is the action or process of improving something until it is faultless or as faultless as possible. Again, that goes along the lines with us being flawed, with us not being perfect. One thing that I want you to look at this as, or I want you to open your mind to and open your perception to, is that there is beauty in your flaws. There's beauty in your flaws. Let me give you an example how I know this. I know this to be true. Think about some of the things that you watch, right? Or that you watch on YouTube or any other platform. But let's talk about YouTube right now. So think about some of the things that you watch, whether it's a short or whether it's a long form video. One of the most highly viewed type of content is flawed content. What I mean by that, meaning that we love a makeover, so we like seeing things that are flawed and seeing it transition into this beautiful butterfly of a thing in whatever it is, whether it's somebody's weight loss journey or somebody's bulking up journey or whether it's a house or whatever. But we find the beauty, the perseverance in flawed, in being not perfect. There is a beauty in that. And why even God loves us in the state that we're in, although we are striving to be better human beings. And if you're a believer, better in your spirituality and in your faith, we're trying to be better, but we will never be perfect. So what happens is when we're operating in the spirit of perfectionism, we are putting a pressure on us that we will never be able to stand up to. We will never be able to accomplish it. We will never be able to meet that goal or meet that thing, whatever that standard is. We will never be able to meet that standard. So when you say, I'm a perfectionist, you're putting so much pressure on yourself when all you have to really do is just do what you do it well and do it in excellence, and you still get the same result without all the pressure, without all the stress, without all the negative feelings that comes behind trying to be a perfectionism. Trying to be a perfectionist and operating in perfectionism. Okay, I'm trying to mix the two. But we have to remember that there is beauty in our flaws. I don't know how else to say it. There is beauty in your flaws, even though you're being shaped and molded into being a better version of yourself, or the best version, not a better version, but the best version of yourself. And even though you're going through this transition and you're going through all these different milestones and tests and trials and tribulations, and you're going through all these things and it's making you feel insignificant, out of that insecurity, we feel the need that we have to show up and be flawless. We have to show up and be perfect, but you're trying to show up to be something that never will be. That does not mean by any means that you are less than. It does not mean by any means that you are not a phenomenon, that you were not created to do something great and be someone great. You are already great. Okay, so now before I keep going on that tangent, let's talk about first. Let's talk about, or second, shall I say, because we hit the perfection, we hit that meaning. So now let's talk about excellence. Okay, let's talk about excellence. So the definition of excellence is the quality of being outstanding or extremely good. Did you hear that? Another definition of excellence is an outstanding feature or quality. Now, if you had to put the two together, I'm going to read excellence, the quality of being outstanding or extremely good. Perfectionism, the condition, state, or quality of being free or as free as possible from all flaws or defects. Which one seems calmer to you? Which one seems like less work, but it's still something amazing coming out of it? Which one seems like it's less stress to measure up to, or something calmer coming out of it? Okay, but you're still getting the same result. You see, excellence still talks about being extremely good. It still talks about being outstanding. I think when we try to be perfect, because we're in this world where people are showing us, whether it's online or in person, most of the time, people are showing us a perfect version of their life, or the best version of their life, which to some of us or some people may seem perfect, right? It may seem like they have the perfect life, or whatever they're showing you is a perfect situation. But that doesn't mean that's who they are. I'm sure they have their moments where they've cried in the night, where they went off on somebody, where they, didn't do something well, where they failed at something. All of us have that. But when we try to meet that standard of perfectionism, something that is a God standard, do you hear that? A God, we are not gods. Okay. So something that is a God standard, we are really putting a target on our backs because it's something that we will never meet. We're putting a target on our backs to be targeted by self-doubt when you don't meet that perfectionist level or that level of perfection. We are putting a target on our back with imposter syndrome. We are putting a target on our back with failure and the fear of failure. We're putting, especially, and these things come when we don't meet that level of perfectionism that we think we can meet, and that we got to show up perfect. So I challenge you with this today. Anytime you're feeling like you need to do it perfectly and that it can't have any flaws and that it can't be wrong and that it always has to be right, who are you doing that for? Are you doing that for yourself? Or are you doing that for others to not see you as what you may think subconsciously a flawed human being or not see you as perfect? Who are you trying to satisfy by meeting this level of perfectionism? And I'll tell you, sometimes it comes from a childhood experience where maybe you might have come from a tough household where there's like, you better get all A's and you better do this. And no, we don't do that. And you better do this and sit up like this, walk like this, talk like this. And this is how we do, blah, 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 blah. And everything you feel like you have to dot every I and cross every T. And sometimes that level of pressure as a child stems and blooms off into your adulthood. And in your adulthood, you find yourself trying to meet these standards that you are either breaking your mind and breaking your peace to do because you're trying to meet a standard for whoever, or even if it's a standard in yourself because it's been embedded into you that you only have to be like this. You only can show up like this. You can't ever look like this. You can't ever be down. You can't ever, you can't ever get it wrong. You always got to get it right. Dust that off of yourself. Break free of that chain of perfectionism and show up in excellence. Excellence, here's a thing. Excellence is already in you. Perfectionism is not. Did you hear that? Excellence is already in you. Now, whether you're meeting that level of excellence or not is up to you. But excellence is already in you, but perfectionism is not. Because you were not made to be perfect. You were not made to be a person that doesn't have any mistakes and you're like this Barbie, okay? So, or whatever. Like you're like this little perfect little doll, or G.I. Joe, whatever you see yourself as. But, you have to understand that you're not going to be perfect. You have already been covered by someone who is perfect. Okay? You don't have to live up to a God status. You are perfectly flawed, and in your flaws is where you find your perseverance. In your flaws is where you find your strength. In your flaws is where you find those hidden gems and that hidden beauty, and wisdom comes out of your flaws and your imperfections. So why would you try to make yourself look like something you're not, something that you will never be, when you could just, even in the midst of those flaws, you could just show up in excellence. You could just be the quality of life that you are, the quality human being that you are, outstanding and extremely good in whatever you have been gifted to do, and just show up on that level. Do your best. When you do your best, even if it's at this level that you're in right now, you have already done more than most. And then as you begin to grow and as you begin to be shaped and molded, then you will begin to see that even when you get to the next level, keep striving to do your best. Keep striving to be in excellence and not in perfectionism. Because perfectionism will only bring you stress. It will only bring you failure. Well, what you feel like is failure. It would only bring all these negative emotions and negative feelings that are unnecessary All because really, subconsciously, you're trying to do things in excellence, but you're trying to meet an image of yourself. You're trying to stand up to an image of yourself that will never exist. You don't have to be perfect because you are beautiful in every way. However you have been made, however you've been created, you are beautiful in every way, even down to your flaws and your imperfections. That's what makes us unique. That's what makes us powerful. That's what makes us do the things that we do, even when we're striving to do something good. These are our quirks. Is that how you say it? Quirks. I have quirks. I think it's quirks. Put it in the chat if it's quirks. Yeah, but these are our little hidden, like, little things that God gave us individually, and they might seem like flaws to others, but they're not necessarily flaws. These are things that make us and shape us into who we are. And there's nothing wrong with that. So whoever told you to do it this way, and then you can't go wrong, and you got to show up like this, and there's no room for error, they told you wrong. So take that pressure off of yourself. Take that pressure off of yourself. And from now on, stop saying you are a perfectionist. And stop saying it has to be perfect. It has to be perfect. From now on, I want you to start decreeing and declaring over your life and affirming that I am a man or woman of excellence. Everything that I do is of excellence. I am a man or woman. I am a man or woman of excellence. Everything that I do is in excellence. And do your best. Do it the way that you've been created to do it. And I'm telling you, it will make life less stressful. You will see yourself be able to do things so much effortlessly and so much easier in such freedom, and still get an amazing result beyond what you can even conceive. So I'm going to leave you with this quote by Kim Collins, who is a track star. Strive for continuous improvement instead of perfection. So I'll leave you with that. All right, guys. Again, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you check out Affirming Power with Christyl Benford on your favorite podcast platform and follow. Also, share and like. And don't forget to comment, because I want to know what you think as well. Which one do you strive to be? Excellence? And do you strive for excellence or perfectionism? Which one do you strive for? Okay? And put in the comments too, are you guilty of perfectionism? Inquiring minds want to know. All right, guys, until next time, I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and follow, and I will see you soon. Bye.